You are now listening to Tech Talk, a Caddo Kiowa Technology Center podcast. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is Dylan Young, the Communications and Marketing Director here at Caddo Kiowa Technology Center in Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. Today is Thursday, March 31st, 2022, and I am excited because with me today, I have the Ag Business Coordinator here at Caddo Kiowa Technology Center, Mr. Heath Hull. Heath, how are you doing?
Good morning. Doing great. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. So you got everything about your job figured out, right? You're a professional by now.
Oh, I've got 4 months into it, and I'm still learning.
I don't think the learning ever stops.
No, you're going backwards if you stop learning.
That's it. That's for sure. So what we've brought Mr. Hull in today to talk about is we're going to talk about a few different things, but I just wanted to give him the opportunity, to touch on some things going on. Heath, so can you tell me a little bit of information about maintaining your private applicator license?
Yeah, that's the main thing I'm dealing with right now in my job. The Department of Ag changed things around in 2019. You set up your private applicator license on a 5-year cycle. You need at least 4 CEUs in each year. It was kind of rough when they set it up. 19, you took an open book test and you got set up with the license and rolling. COVID hit in 2020. There were no CEU opportunities. So everybody's running behind. It's something I'm kind of trying to get the word out, get the knowledge out there. I have actually on a week from today, April 7th, I have a CEU meeting here. 2 good speakers. OSU Extension will be here from 1 till 4 in our seminar center that afternoon. Real good opportunity for anybody around here to get 2 CEUs. Most of what you're dealing with right now after missing the 2020 year, you need 16 by the end of 23. A lot of people don't realize that. You're already running behind. Not very many got opportunities in 21, so you need to buckle up if you're going to keep that keep those CEUs up and keep that license. The reasoning behind that, you have another option at the end of 23. You can go retest, but it's not what it used to be. It's not an open book test anymore. Now it's a closed book computerized test at one of 8 locations around the state. Closest to us would be Oklahoma City or Lawton. You'll have to go on psiexams.com, set up a test date, and go in and answer 50 questions, get 70% of it right to keep that license. So you decide whether you want to get CEUs or go retest every 5 years. It's up to you. But my email, hull@cktc.com. Check with me, email me, get your email to me. I'll put you on my email list. I'll get out CEU opportunities around the area. Just stay in contact with me, and I'll help you keep in touch with those.
Awesome. And Mr. Hull, I'm not trying to sit here and correct you on anything, but just real quick, because I want people to send it to the right email address, you're absolutely right about the CKTC, but we're a .edu now instead of a .com.
Ah, yes.
So I don't mean to correct you on air
Nope.
or anything, but I want to make sure people get it to the right address.
Exactly.
So that is HULL@cktc.edu. You
Yes,
can
it
reach
is.
out. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about urea. Tell us a little bit about urea and kind of how to best utilize it.
It has been one of my pet peeves. I learned the hard way about how easily it volatilizes. Through my years working at the co-op, I learned the hard way. It all goes back to get a soil sample, see where you stand, get your pH right. That's the first step in your fertilizer program, or it should be. Fertilizer prices are high this year. In case anybody hasn't noticed, they have tripled.
There's a lot of high prices and everything going on.
There is. Your lime prices have not. That's the first place to start. Get that pH right. Your next thing on the list is your nitrogen, and yes, urea is the most commonly used. We lost we didn't lose it, but the government and different entities after the 9/11 bombing have taken away ammonia nitrate to a certain extent from our use. That was our summertime fertilizer. You could put it down in the heat, it would not volatilize, it would stay there. The regulations are so extraneous on it right now that I don't know of anybody even handling it out in our area. You can still get it, yes, but it's not easily accessible. So with having to change over to urea and UAN, we hit a point about this time of year. The temperature gets above 70 degrees during the daytime, and urease catalyst kicks in. The fertilizer starts volatilizing on you, just as exactly how it happens when you put it out there. While it's in the bin, it's next to other urea. It doesn't do anything unless it gets wet. Once it is spread into the atmosphere onto the soil, it knows it's out there. It starts doing its job. In the wintertime, in the last 4 months, it'll lay there in the cooler temperatures and be utilized. From now on to the fall weather till cooler weather again, you've got to be very aware of your conditions. There are different ways to handle it. It needs to be incorporated if possible. If you're putting it on grass, that's not going to happen. You can get irrigation turned on right away. If you don't have irrigation, you're at God's will on a rain. Other than that, you can treat it with urease inhibitor. A couple of those are Agritane, Anvil. You know, there's several out there. That's what they're there for. People don't even realize them or use them as much as they need to. So that leaves you at the point of, say I throw it out there today and we have 3 dry, windy, hot days. Imagine that here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that never happens.
Rain. Yeah.
Never.
You lose up to 40% of that fertilizer in 3 days' time.
Wow.
Now, the morning dews will melt it, but what that does, that absorbs it into the organic matter that's laying there. If that's something that it takes several months to break down, it's several months before you see that fertilizer use, that nitrogen. So those are things to think about. There are other options out there. Ammonia sulfate, it doesn't break down as easily. You know, a blend of it and some DAP together on your grass this summer will actually be there until it rains, and you won't lose it to volatilization. But those are things to think about when we're dealing with urea prices at $9.80 and anhydrous prices $13.85 a ton. You know, the prices of last year they were around $400 for urea. This year, it's just crazy how high it's gotten. So
it's rough.
It is. Things to think about.
So just real quick, Mr. Hull, let's take a step back for just a little bit, because there's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that's listening to this, and they know what, you know, when you're talking about something volatilizing, they know what that means. But there are some of the listeners that probably aren't going to know. Can you explain exactly what volatilize, you know, what that means?
When you put a fertilizer out, when you put urea out there or UAN, it is under 70 degrees is a stable atmosphere for it.
Okay.
It will lay there. It won't go anywhere. Once we reach above 70 degrees, urease catalysts kick in. That is the bacteria in the soil and different things that break that fertilizer down to use it. The thing is, at that temperature, it turns to ammonia and carbon dioxide and goes up into the air instead of into the soil when there's not rain, moisture, or something there to take it down. That's the reasoning behind it. Should be incorporated, reined in, or treated with the inhibitor just to keep it there until you do get a rain. The inhibitor lasts for 14 to 21 days, so you still need a rain within that period to salvage all of it. So.
Okay, understood. Thank you, for kind of clarifying and explaining that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of explaining things, will you touch a little bit on these fertilizers? You know what I mean? Talk a little bit about some soil sampling, pH, lime, and those type of things.
The soil sample should be your first start. pH is the top main thing. Remember back from the science classes, 7 is a neutral on your pH. Anything below is acidic, or above or below is acidic or basic. To keep it at that point, that's where we apply lime. That neutralizes our soil. Without a basic close to a 7 pH, nothing else works right in the soil. So on a year like this, with fertilizer prices high, it does not hurt to focus more on your lime this year. There are several different lime locations around us. The rock quarry south of Carnegie, the DeLisi locations. Go to Mill Creek and bring back the actual 100% dolomite lime. There's fuel prices are higher, your trucking might be a little higher, but the lime itself does not really jump the way fertilizer has. So on a year like this, focus some on liming and getting your soil pH right, and then go back to fertilizer next year. Just main thing is soil sample. Check the pH, check the NP and K. Dig into those micronutrients some. We're realizing more and more after our diesel fuel was changed and they took the sulfur out of it, we're finding more and more needs of sulfur in our soil. That brings the ammonia sulfate fertilizer to call. It's a non-volatile urea in it or nitrogen in it. It's a good product to kind of lean to and move to in situations like this here.
Understood. So tell me, would nitrogen be the most common used fertilizer, or?
It is. It's nitrogen is the source in all proteins. It's the main thing you need. In your cycle of fertilizer, N, P, and K is the order that it goes in, and nitrogen is your main source.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So touch just a little bit more, a little bit deeper dive into, describing urea and ammonium nitrate and, ammonium sulfate.
That's where we came in earlier. By losing the ammonia nitrate, back years back when we had the bombing,
right,
that took away our major way that our fertilizer system worked. In the fall, we went in with anhydrous. If you weren't set up to use that, you used the urea, incorporated it in when you planted. Now things have changed over time, and we're more no-till, so we're laying it on top of the ground. When you do that, then you're up to losing to volatilization like this. When we had ammonia nitrate, it didn't volatilize. It would lay there till the rain took it down. Now we're dealing with a different dog, and that's why we have to handle this urea in a different form. So.
Right. So, and I know you've touched on, how urea works and everything, but can you, touch a little bit deeper on that, on how exactly urea does work?
Once you lay it out there, you have a few options. You can either incorporate it. You can get up to a quarter. You need at least a quarter, if not a half inch of rain to get it embedded in and in the soil. Irrigation, if you've got a pivot, turn the irrigation on, save all that. Urease inhibitor, treat the urea. If we're in a better cycle than we are right now, and normally we'll get rain every couple of weeks, that inhibitor works really well in that situation. Right now, where we're looking at pretty scarce rain chances,
right?
There's not a lot of things to do but change your options. Go with an ammonia sulfate. Go with something. DAP has 18 pounds for every 100 pounds of it has 18 pounds of nitrogen in it. It will be there. It won't go away. It won't volatilize. You have to think along those lines when prices are this high. So.
Understood. So as we all know, agriculture is a tough business. There's so many uncontrolled variables, you know what I mean? Like you touched on with rain and then of course now with all these, price spikes on everything. So tell me, Mr. Hull, what is the best way, to kind of utilize your money with these factors that, you farmers and ranchers are facing?
I'll give you a scenario. At this time last year, to fertilize 100 pounds of urea on 1,000 acres would have cost you around $18,000. This year, with today's prices, that's $49,000 to do that same thing.
Jeez.
Now, that's $49 an acre on that. That's what you're spending. Just to throw it in there, the urease inhibitor on that would cost you another $4,000. That would bring you up to $53 an acre on that. Something I had stopped and figured the other day, just ballparking stuff. 50 pounds to the acre of ammonia sulfate and 50 pounds of DAP would make you a blend of a 2023 O12S. That actually cost you $44 an acre at today's prices. So say that not a lot of nitrogen. Well,
Right.
You threw that urea out there, didn't get a rain, it volatilized. You spent $49 an acre for less nitrogen that way than you did by using ammonia sulfate and DAP in a form that will not volatilize on you.
Right.
So think along the lines of that on a year like this. So get outside of the box a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got to get creative, don't you?
Exactly.
So, so whenever I introduced you, I kind of forgot to give you the stage to kind of tell about your position here at CKTC and kind of what all you do over there with the biz team.
I do several different things. I deal in crop care. People trying to keep their private applicator license, the co-op associations with their certified applicator license. I'll help you study for that. I have the books for that. I put on different classes to prepare different people for whichever one of those they're after or attaining. I will help you with the CEUs. I put on the meetings. I'll have one, here in a week, and I have another in the fall. Try to keep you up to date with the things going on around the area, the CEU meetings, the different extension meetings. We're fixing to have some wheat days here in another month or two if it'll keep raining and we have enough wheat to look at. But we have 2 of those set up. So south of Apache and south of Carnegie with 2 different farmers. Just different things along the lines of that. Borrower training. Anybody borrowing money through FSA, I take them through a Schoology class and get their accreditation because they have to have some schooling on management of money and financial statements and cash flows, things like that. So those are kind of the things I deal with here.
Very awesome. So many things, that you can, people can utilize you. If you guys, want to reach out to Mr. Hull, again, he gave his email address, and that's HULL@mycktc.edu.
Yes, edu. My mind goes back to .com most of the time.
Hey, I completely understand. I promise you I do that all the time as well. So, well, Mr. Hull, do you have anything else that you would like to, kind of speak about? Or
Oh, in years like this, like I said before, think outside of the box. Remember ammonia sulfate's out there. It's a possibility. Summer fallow crops, go in behind your wheat, plant some legumes and work them back in this summer instead of spending a lot on fertilizer and possible volatilization. That'll get you some more organic matter out there. Think about spraying. If you have to choose between spraying or fertilizing, kill those weeds. They're robbing away precious moisture on a dry year like this. They're stealing nutrients that's hard to maintain. Spraying first versus fertilizing is, and we're seeing a lot of issues on Roundup, how high it is, how hard it is to find. We may have to do a little bit of minimal cultivation this year. It's a new year, it's a new time. There's lots of things to look at this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kind of as I alluded to earlier, you just got to get creative.
Exactly.
Just like any other industry or instance in life. So, well, Mr. Hull, unless you have anything else to add, I think that'll about do it for this episode.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dylan.
Hey, I greatly appreciate your time coming in. It was enlightening on my part. Always a lot to learn. So,
yeah, thank you.
All right, have a good one. All right. Well, that is going to do it for episode 2 of Tech Talk, a Caddo, Kiowa Technology Center podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, if you enjoy the show, please be sure to subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Everyone have a good one.